Alright folks, so did you see what I forgot? I can't believe that this is the first time I ever made pasta sauce of any kind without mushrooms in it. I mean, seriously, this may be the first time in my entire life that I made a pasta sauce with no mushrooms. I just can't hardly believe I did it, but I did it. And so I just want you to keep in mind, and I will put in a reminder as I'm going along, as we are sweating the onions and the bell pepper in this recipe. We would also be sweating our mushrooms in here. So folks, I hope you enjoy the video, and away we go. Alright folks, well tonight we are making one of my, I guess, all-time favorites, since I've been making it since I first started cooking way back when. Well, I can't say that exactly, but since I was an adult cooking. And that would be spaghetti sauce is what we're going to be working on, and then eventually spaghetti. I'm going to do something a little different tonight in that I am going to show you how I go about formulating a recipe. The reason being is because I started making spaghetti probably when I was in my 20s, and I have never sat and written down a recipe for it. So what I've done tonight is that I did write down a basic recipe with all the ingredients or most of the ingredients that I figure I'm going to be using in this sauce. And it is going to be a meat sauce, not meatballs, or it's not going to be a meatless sauce, a meatless red sauce. It's going to be a meat sauce, and I'm going to call it chunky, thick and chunky spaghetti sauce is what I'm going to call it. And that's because I do like it thick and chunky. I also like my tomato-based products, such as my meat sauce and pizza sauce and stuff like that. When I make it, I like it with a little bit of what I call brightness, and that means I'm not a real fan of overly salty sauce. I like it to have a little bit of a tartness to it. I call it brightness. And so I'm going to be using a little bit of red wine vinegar in my sauce. And I'm going to get turned around here, and I'm going to show you what I've got my list written down, my beginning list. And I'm what I call a taste adder, which means that normally when I'm cooking something, I will go through and I will make my basic recipe, and then I'll taste it and I'll say it can use X or blank, whatever blank might be, and then I'll add a little more and I'll taste it, and as where I want it or not, and what do I think it needs. One of the biggest skills I think a person can have in cooking is knowing flavors of spices and ingredients. That way, when you're a taste adder like myself, then you know what flavor you think will make it taste better. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to turn around here and I'm going to show you my basic recipe. Okay, so this is my basic recipe. Here with my bell pepper. We're just going to go right around the sides like so. And there you go. That's how you core one easily. Just kind of cut out a little bit of the membrane in the middle. Here we go. I did tell you I was going to make this chunky, right? There we go with our bell pepper. Peel our onion. I'll do the onion a little different than what maybe you've seen me do in my past videos. Simply because we're doing a rough cut rather than a fine dice. So I've gone ahead and I've cut both the top and the bottom, the root end off, and I'm gonna kind of probably about 1/8 this. And I'm gonna cut each one of these in half again, like so. There we go. That's how I'm going to leave it. And we'll do the same thing here. Just like that. So there's our onion. Now let's get moved over here to the stove, and we're going to begin browning our ground beef. All right, folks, I've probably got a medium flame. I'm just using bulk hamburger. Ground beef if you prefer. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my bell pepper. As well as my onion. And we're going to kind of let those sweat down a little bit. Boy, do I ever wish I could give you folks smell-o-vision. Because I got some great smells going on in this kitchen right now. Okay, now into this goes 4 cloves of minced garlic. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to let it go for about another minute. You don't want to leave your garlic in your pan too long while you're browning it. Garlic will get bitter on you if you leave it into the pan too long. That's the reason why I waited till the very end to add it. Now into this, I'm going to add my can of tomato puree. I think the difference between puree and sauce is, I think puree is a little thicker. I'm also going to go ahead and add my can of diced fire roasted tomatoes, undrained. Now then, these fire roasted tomatoes had salt in them. For that reason, I have not made a decision on adding salt into the mix here. I'm going to end up giving it a taste before I do any such thing. I'm going to go ahead and add my 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. My bay leaves. We will be pulling the bay leaves out prior to eating. Or if we miss any of it, we will pull them out as we're eating. Now we're going to mix in our spices. I'm going to get myself a spoon. I'm going to give it a taste. Now then, after a taste, I am going to throw just a little bit of salt to it. There is approximately a tablespoon. And we want to bring this to a pretty good boil. Obviously not a rolling boil, because this thing, it is thick enough that if we do that, we're going to end up with spaghetti sauce all over the kitchen. I'm going to turn the heat down. I'm going to add just about a teaspoon, not a tablespoon, of sugar. I'm going to tone down that vinegar just a little bit. And we'll see where that takes us. I'm going to go another teaspoon of the sugar. Now you'll want to be tasting yourself. Everybody has different taste buds and what their likes and dislikes are. One more teaspoon sugar, that makes 3. I believe that's about got it on the sugar. Okay folks, so the final tally on the sugar was 3 tablespoons and the final tally on the salt was 3 tablespoons. Now you're going to have to believe me when I tell you, it is not sweet and it is not salty. So I'm going to move that off the heat while I go ahead and make myself some spaghetti and some vegetables to go with it. And we will be back with you folks in just a minute. But there you go. That is our thick and chunky spaghetti sauce. Alright folks, how about that for a nice looking plate? Now then, just a little bit of flat leaf parsley right on the top like that. Maybe a little Parmesan cheese or something along those lines. But there you go folks, that's some great spaghetti right there. So let me get turned around. It is that time. Okay folks, so there you go. I posted a copy of my final notes on my recipe, and alright, so it's that time. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this. A great thick and chunky spaghetti sauce here. Now, and keep in mind, a recipe is only a starting point. You may taste this exact same recipe and you may think, well, it needs more salt or it needs less of the red wine vinegar, or it needs more of whatever. Maybe you have a sensitive palate to hot food. Maybe there's too much crushed red pepper in here. Don't be afraid to change things. Taste a recipe and take notes in your mental notes in your head while you're eating it, and say, this would be better if I did whatever it might be. So here we go, folks. Folks, this works for me. I'll tell you, I'm getting ready to go in here in the other room and enjoy this. Folks, if you like what you're seeing, do me a favor. Down here in the bottom right hand corner, hit like and subscribe. And stay tuned, because there's always more to come. And thanks for watching.